Okay, guys, can you guys hear me? Can you guys see me? Let me know something in the chat box. Let me know if I look good, if I sound okay. At least I hope so. Okay, we got some responses. All right, so let's get started. So we already have, I got 10 questions. We're going to be going over once again, as we did, just like we did in the previous sessions. We're going to be doing some more questions, but I do have some questions already in the chat box. And of course, I'm here to answer all of your questions that you guys may have. Okay, if there's a problem with the Udemy course, I'm going to definitely look at it. I made a note. I saw that, I did see that chat there before I started this, and I'll make a note and review it with my team there to make sure to correct any issues with it. I have another question. Andrew, are you one of the instructors at TIA Live class? I am one of the instructors at the TIA Live classes. So if you take a live class with us, I'll be one of the instructors there also. All right, so we got some more questions here. Can you talk more about domains and the questions associated with the domains? So as you guys know, there are 3 domains that your exam will cover. And those domains are going to be things such as the processes. You're going to have to know specific PM processes. You're going to have to be able to solve issues and solve people problems. And then the business domains. You know what, John? That particular question requires a whole lot of talking that I could save that for another YouTube video or another video I could put out a little bit later. But that's a lot of work, because the questions associated with the domain. So in the people domain, you're going to be solving problems with issues with people. For the domains that deals with the processes, you're going to be, that's basically PMP stuff and knowing the Agile processes. And then the business environment, you're basically going to be looking at things like regulations or different forms of industry-specific things that can affect the project. But that would be a gist of what the questions would come from. Cam says to me, do you need to know all the definitions in the PMP? No. Of course, it would be good to know the definitions, but I don't think even I know every single definition, and I've written 4 books on PMP. So I don't think you need to go memorizing definitions. It's more important to not memorize the definition, but to understand what they are, understand the concept of what something else is. So, for example, you're studying the words, you should know, okay, what is a work package? So you should know a work package is something on a WBS, right? You should know that it's part of the work that's been decomposed. That's what you should know. You don't need to go memorize definitions or anything like that. Okay. Nita asked me a question. I registered for the Martin instructor for those 4 days. I am not sure. I'm not sure if it's me. Maybe. I haven't even looked at my schedule yet. I've been just so busy all day today. Oh, Heather. Okay, sorry about that, Heather. Your name actually said John on there, so I said John. Okay, Heather. Okay, I got another question here. Most of the questions, the PMP comes in hybrid life cycle and asking for should you be updating the documents. So hybrid projects, you know what? This is a good time to talk a little about hybrid projects. Hybrid projects is a very unique thing. And believe it or not, most companies utilizes some form of hybrid project. Very rarely, especially in software development in today's world, are you going to have projects that are just pure Agile or just one particular Agile method or pure traditional methods. So I think going forward, a lot of organizations will be implemented or has already implemented hybrid development. So this hybrid development is a portion of the project is going to be done in a traditional method. So, for example, rolling out a piece of software, it could be done traditional, but the actual developing the software, that can be done using a hybrid method. Getting the project approved could be done in a traditional method versus actual developing a software that can be done using actual hybrid. The thing with why your exam may like to do hybrid question is because they have the ability to then ask you questions about, in one question, they can ask you a question about traditional and agile in one question set. And that's great because now they can hit you with two blows at once. So because hybrid comes in so many different forms, because hybrid, I'm not sure if you have my course or my books, but if you notice, there are like 4 or 5 different, four ways of doing hybrid projects that they can actually do anything, anywhere. The best way to say that is they can give you different scenarios based on any of those things. So they may give you a scenario where a project, actual agile project is using something like a scope management plan or a schedule management plan. So that would be a form of a hybrid project. All right, I like this one. It says, good morning, sir. It means you guys are in a different part of the world there. It's 7 o'clock in the night for me, but good morning to you too. Okay, so for example, should it go to the change log or if it's agile, it goes to the product backlog? So if the project is leaning more towards an agile project, then it should go to the product backlog. A traditional project, let it go through the whole change request process. It depends how it's leaning. The PMP prep question are direct, so this will come before or after. So on the exam, the current exam we're talking about, it's very situational. If you understand the concept, you understand. I did a video on how to do a servant leader, something you guys should really, if you're doing servant leader, you guys should really look that up. I got a couple of students that told me that video really helped them. So what you guys want to do, some of the questions in the book is just there to test your knowledge. Some of them is particularly just like the real exam. So you want to make sure they will come direct and some will come with a twist. That's why you want to make sure you have your knowledge done very well. Is PMP good for project managers only? That's a good question. Is PMP good for project managers only? Somebody, FW, is asking me this. Does PMP help with career progression? Oh, yeah. There's so many doors that are locked right now if you don't have a PMP. Like, if you don't have a PMP right now, you have so many doors that are locked in front of you that you wouldn't believe. So many organizations value PMP so much. So definitely it will help with your career. Make sure to go and get it. If you're qualified to get it, right? If you don't have that 3 or 5 years experience, it becomes difficult. Does BA, business analyst experience? So this is an interesting question. Somebody's asking me, FW is asking me, for the PMP application, does BA experience count towards managing a project? So I'm assuming BA means business analyst. Any project management experience counts, whether it's doing business analyst or painting a room or building a building or developing an application. It doesn't matter. All right. If you have project management, every industry has project management. Project management is not something unique to construction. It's not something unique to software development or IT or something like that. So it goes to any particular industry. So yes, the answer to that question is yes, it will count as long as it's a project. So, all right. Stephanie says, I'm a PM with 1.5 years. Can I take the PMP exam this summer? 1.5 years, you need to have 3 years experience. All right, so you received my book 10 minutes ago. Don't forget to subscribe and get the video course that comes with it. 1.5 years, unfortunately, you're going to have 3 years experience in order to qualify for the exam. If you have a degree, if you don't have a degree, you need 5 years experience. But what you could do is you could get the CAPM. So if you want to get the CAPM, that one counts also. Your 1.5 years experience will be just fine. The CAPM is just as good as PMP in terms of what you're studying. It's just that the exam is easier and it's not so highly recognized. But if you don't have the experience, hey, that's a good one to get. All right, Kumar says, I'm using Udemy. I started your video. I go to score more than Integration Udemy. Is the Udemy class efficient? Go through it. All my students uses it. You'll be surprised at how many people pass with that. I mean, you could check the reviews on that. Yeah, it's more than sufficient. Go through it. Do all the practice exams in there. How does the ECO content will relate to the exam? I got another question here. I recommend for all students to review the exam content outline. In the video course, in the book, you'll notice, if you don't have my books or my video, it's fine, but you could still download the exam content outline. I want you to go through the exam content outline and understand every part of it, because technically that's what the exam is coming from. In the book and in the video course, I go through every single one of those points in the exam content outline. There's 35 of these points or 35 tasks that they have there. I go through every single one and I explain every single one to you. You should know those things well. Also, the part about the mindset, you're going to want to make sure you know. In the videos, you said we don't need the book. Yeah, let me just make something really clear with the book versus the video. The book versus the video. I cannot, when I wrote the book, that book is an iteration of 3 books ago. And I just kept updating it to match the current exam. But the video course is 35 hours. So PMI is like, hey, you need 35 hours. There's no way I could fit 35 hours of content in a study guide. It's not possible. The book would be like 50 billion pages. So, yes, the video course, of course, will cover much more than the book. But the book is good. I like paper. I like to read. It helps. It's basically like the summary version of the course. It's a great cram guide for the course itself. Which one is better for the exam? The video, because it's a lot of videos there. But don't forget you have practice questions in both, so do both. All right, I got another question. Closing process. There is no sequence given in any book, but questions are asked. What should you do? Send in surveys to stakeholders versus releasing the team. When it comes to the closing process, you're absolutely right. Because the reason is PMBOK never said what exactly was a closing process. PMBOK never came out and told us that, there has to be a certain set of steps to close a project done in these order. They did say a set of things we have to do, but they never actually said what the steps were. So when you close a project, you want to make sure that all the bills are paid. You want to make sure all the records are archived. You want to make sure you do your lesson learned, and you want to release your team. So it would be something in that order. You don't want to release, for example, you don't want to release the team if you haven't done the lesson learned. So something like that. And then finally write the project report would probably be one of the last things you do. Any additional source or question banks? And I tell people, somebody says, would you recommend any additional sources or questions bank to refer to? There's a lot of great questions that are out there that you guys can go and purchase or you guys can get for free or something. But I'm not affiliated with any provider. I know a lot of people ask me that, Andrew, where can I get additional questions from? And unfortunately, because I'm a provider too, I can't say other companies' names. They might get upset with me. Or if I say one and I don't say the other, they might get upset again with me. So hopefully you guys understand that. So is there a way to have cloud access? I can't wait. Unfortunately, no. The book is not available in PDF or something like that. All right, I'm doing Udemy. I've started studying. I need to know about discipline, Agile. No, listen, you don't need to know about discipline. You need to know Agile and just Agile in general. All right, just the Agile, if you're studying in my Udemy course and you want a book to read, you want something, I did recommend people to read the Agile Practice Guide and read PMBOK. So if you want to go through if you want to read something from PMI, get the Agile Practice Guide. That's the only really one there I recommend. I'm bad in memorize and didn't clear the exam last year. Will the agile mindset and practice be sufficient to pass with more than I do? Okay, so somebody here, I got Divis512 says, I'm bad in memorizing. Didn't clear the exam last year. I'm already CSM, so Scrum certified. Will the agile mindset and practice be sufficient to pass the exam, or should I do more? Make sure to review PMBOK. Remember, half of your exam now, PMI says half the exam is traditional project. So you make sure you know traditional, make sure you know your 49 processes in PMBOK. If you have CSM, means you're good at Scrum, you know your Scrum process, make sure you know it well. And then apply that agile mindset. I think you'll be fine. Don't forget that servant leadership thing that I keep telling everyone about. All right. What's your best advice you could give to someone whose exam is very, very your best so if your exam is coming up in a few days or even a few hours, the best thing you could do is relax. If your exam is in a few hours, get some, for example, if your exam is tomorrow morning, get some sleep. That's the best thing you could do. It's a marathon exam. It takes 4 hours to finish it. So get some sleep is my best advice. And if you could, some people get exam anxiety and it becomes difficult for them. I'll tell you something about studying. When I study, I generally don't study the day before, especially if it's a big exam and I get a little bit nervous. I have taken over 100 certification exams. I have 62 certifications, and some exams does make me a little nervous. And I generally don't study the day before. I mean, you got your exam coming up weeks before. If you haven't, generally what you don't study, let me say this way. Generally, what you study the day before, you're not going to remember on the day of the test because you're so anxious that you're not going to remember any of it. So my thing is just to relax a little bit the day before your exam or a few hours. All right. Somebody says, what's the difference between boot camps on PMI's website versus the Udemy classes? Okay, so the Udemy class versus the PMI websites or the PMI's website, the boot camps. So PMI has this thing called the Authorized Training e-learning course. They sell for like $700 versus I'm not sure what you're talking about there. So somebody name is The Future Is Now 1000. Interesting username. PMI has two offerings. So PMI has the e-learning, $700 e-learning course or $600 e-learning course. And then they have the authorized providers like us who provide the authorized PMP training. So a live class, in my mind, is always the best option. I take a lot of live classes myself. But sometimes, the budget, some people just can't afford a live class. They're generally very expensive. Our live classes, like I think it was like $800 or $900, and some people charge $2,000 for the same class. The Udemy course is made by a certain provider. Like I make my Udemy course, and there's many others on Udemy that you can see. I think, I'm going to tell you that my Udemy class is better than PMI class, in my opinion, because it's my course. I have not seen the PMI material. I haven't seen the PMI e-learning course. I've never seen it before at all. So I don't know what it looks like. But hey, tons of people are passing with my own. So I'm going to say mine's is better. But I don't know about PMI's to tell you how good it is. But the live class, the boot camps that we are offering are very good because the material is from PMI themselves, all right? But what we have in those live PMI authorized boot camps is not what's on Udemy, because the PMI materials could have only be taught through the live boot camps per PMI. That's PMI tells us that. In fact, my Udemy course is not done through TIA, Technical Institute of America. My Udemy course is offered through my other company, my personal business called TIA Education Group. So it has to be so separated. All right. Question is using your books to 100 hours. I recommend 100 hours. I think it's fine. Queen Elizabeth. All right. Good username there. Hi, Andrew. How about PMI ACP? How does that compare with the PMP in regards to career? I just registered for your live online and I got the PMI. So, that's a really good question. And this is a question that people have asked me a lot. What's happening with PMI ACP? And the answer is no one knows, right? I'm not sure if PMI put out any statement yet what they plan to do with PMI ACP. But from my personal opinion, and if PMI is listening to this, to our gathering here today, I think PMI will keep PMI ACP around. If you're here tonight, please keep PMI ACP around, because there are a lot of people out there that don't want to learn traditional project management. If you're a software developer and you only work in that industry and you never plan to leave that industry, which is a lot of people, you will stick using Agile for forever, maybe for your entire career. And you don't want to learn about traditional project management. So for someone like that, PMI ACP is a good certification to keep around. I hope PMI listens to that and just doesn't get rid of it. So you got to remember, because PMP now has 50% of it being Agile and hybrid, almost the whole PMI ACP is now within the PMP. In fact, in my Udemy course, if you have my live class, you have the videos too. I took the entire PMI ACP course and I put it into the PMP course because the content just matched up perfectly. So if you studied for PMP, you probably already know PMI ACP, most of the content, and you can just go on and just take that, study a little bit more, do some more practice questions, you'll probably take that test. But to start the practice, Udemy mock this. Okay, next question. I'm starting to practice Udemy mock exams this week. Plan to schedule March 3rd. Okay, that's good. March 3rd, that's next week actually. Good luck. Is there any indication? You know what? I wanted to address this tonight about PMBOK 7 edition. So many people have asked us, call our front desk and said, hey, is your exam updated to PMBOK 7? When is PMBOK 7 going to... Okay, if you guys are listening, you guys got to understand this. Number one, when the PMP came out in January, last month, PMI said that they have disconnected PMP from PMBOK. So the PMP is not just relying on PMBOK. In fact, when the PMBOK 7th edition does come out, it will not change the PMP exam by much anyhow. I'm not going to get into the contents of the PMBOK exam. I'm not going to get into the contents of PMBOK itself, PMBOK 7th edition here. But let's just say this. Even if they want to change the PMP exam to match PMBOK 7, it takes a while. It's not going to happen overnight. When PMBOK 7 comes out, it's not like it comes out March 31st and April 1st is a new exam. That's not the way it works. For example, PMBOK 6th edition, when it was going from the 5th edition to the 6th edition. Here's how that worked. So I think the PMBOK came out in August or September of 2017. You guys can look that up. Or it was like June or something like that. And then the new exam never came to like March or April of the following year in 2018. It takes a good 6 months or so for the exam even to become updated with PMBOK 7. So for those of you guys studying, don't worry about PMBOK 7, all right? Just pretend it doesn't exist. No, it doesn't exist actually right now, and it's not going to exist for a while. And even when it does exist, it's going to be a while before those exam gets updated. Focus on the 6th edition with Agile. That is going to be correct. All right, what other questions do we have here? Do you have a TI video CD? No, we don't have video CD. Okay, somebody's asking me. So, okay, you guys are chatting there. Okay, Andrew, I got my application approved yesterday. I haven't studied anything. I plan to put in 20 hours a week per studying. If you got your application approved and you haven't studied anything, you know what? You're going to be taking your exam in a good 20 hours a week. That's a lot of studying. If you could do that, take your exam within 5 weeks, 5-6 weeks maximum. Okay, so you should be certified in a month and a half or so. Is it realistic? I would say at the end of March. Yeah, mid-April, perfect timing. That's fine. When writing project descriptions, what do you suggest to write about the project and the project progress? So I'm not sure. So that's a good question. What do I write in the project descriptions? Okay, so this question comes from 7 No Joke 7. So 7 No Joke 7, I'm not sure if you subscribe to one of our classes, but I do have a video in the course that tells you exactly how to write the description. But you know what? I'm going to get you a link, okay? I'm going to get you a link. So on the TIA, hold on a second here. On the TIA YouTube page, somewhere around here, whenever I find it. On the TIA's YouTube page, I put up a free course on how to fill out the PMP application. So let me give you a link there. So give me 1 second, guys. So if you're filling out the PMP application and you're not subscribed to any of our videos or anything like that, it's fine. In this video, I am going to share a link here. So here is a link. So you guys can check that link out if you want. That's to the Technical Student. That's the actual school's YouTube channel. This is my personal YouTube channel. On that YouTube channel, there is a series of videos where I go through how to fill out the application, how to write the descriptions. There's even a sample description you can just copy, paste it, and edit it. Okay. Just to write it, but okay. Next question. I'm scheduled to take the exam on March 18th. Any tips on practice exams? Yeah, so I tell my students just do as many practice exams as you could. Try to get in at least 1,500 to 2,000 questions in there. I think 1,500 is a good number to go with. But remember, I can't recommend anything. Right? A lot of people say, I'm going to tell you guys, use my practice question, but I can't recommend anything. All right, so we just got somebody to join the live chat that I actually asked to join us. And she LinkedIn me a message earlier today that she took the exam and she passed. And I said, hey, can you just pop into our study group and let us know what was your experience. So Sonia says, hey, just passed the exam this morning. Very excited. Thanks for your Udemy course in the live session. So that's good. People are gaining value out of it. So that's always great to hear. So I told her if she can share her experience with us, what to study and, what are some tips that she can give you guys from somebody that just sat for the exam like a few hours ago. So she says here, concentrate on resource, communication, stakeholder, and risk management. Lots of questions around tailoring and conflict management and leadership. Time is key. She goes on to say, had 10 questions left before I completed the exam. I had 10 seconds left before I completed the exam. Wow. 10 seconds left before I completed the exam. Whoa. That's cutting it really close. Pay attention to the question Andrew shares in these live sessions. They're very, very close to the real ones. Yes, remember I told you guys, the questions that I give in the live sessions are the questions that are coming from the clone. So these are going to be, we use the clone questions that PMI gave us, and we get some inspiration. We create our own questions from it. That's why it's very similar to the real test. Wow, that is 10 seconds. I can't get over that. That's pretty close. All right. Is it recommended to still read PMBOK if one has read your book and have taken the TIA class? Do they need to read the PMBOK guide? By the way, Sonia, thanks for popping in and giving us that update. Gives everyone some encouragement there that you guys can do it too. Okay, another question. Is it recommended to still read PMBOK if one has read your book? I am always going to tell you guys yes. I'm never going to, no teacher is going to say don't do anything, not to read PMBOK. The book, PMBOK is one of the main books that PMI lists on your exam. Now, I got a review today on Udemy. I got a review today from somebody that passed the exam, and you guys can see this, if you can sort Udemy reviews by time they posted. I got one this morning where somebody said to me, they wrote, Andrew, I did not listen to you and did not read the PMBOK, but still passed the exam. So I said, well, I recommend to read the PMBOK, but many people are not reading the PMBOK and are passing the exam. Sonia, did you read the PMBOK? That would be a question, right? Did you read the PMBOK? What's the link for Udemy? You know what? You guys could just go to udemy.com and type my name. You'll see it. You know what? Maybe I could get you a quick link. There you go. Okay. So I just gave you a link there. Okay. Okay, so do you need to read the PMBOK guide? A lot of people are passing without reading it. But I don't recommend it. I still say to go through it. It's still a good reference book. My question about the project description was on the project which are in progress. If you have a project in progress, you could still list it. Just don't write that the project was completed. That's all. Write about what happened so far, right? To stick to what I told you in the course about how to write the description, and just don't put it ended. That's all. If I remember right, I think on the current application, you could put the project is in progress. Don't hold me to that. I think I remember seeing that when I was doing those videos for the application. I think I remember seeing that. All right. Okay, so Sonia's got some more good tips for us. She says, do not waste time on ITTO. Only the application questions. Studies, APG, Reader's Guide, and Udemy course. Read the ECO, at least 5 to 6 times. Understand them thoroughly, especially through team building and conflict management. Yeah, there's a lot of questions on this exam about conflict management. Remember that whole section, the whole beginning, the whole first domain is about that. It's about managing people and solving issues, solving problems. I missed my question on PMP-SP. I don't know what that is. How can we manage time in the exam? By watching the clock. You got to speed it up. You got to slow it down as needed. Time management on this exam is going to be critical. So you got to see it this way. You got to 230 minutes, let's just say 4 hours to do your exam. You're going to get 2 breaks in there. Each break is 10 minutes. So you, of course, take the break because you need to, let your head rejuvenate to get some oxygen in there. So make sure that when you are taking the exam, you got to watch the clock. So for example, at question 90, watch the clock. At question 90, you should be around the 2-hour mark. If question 90 is showing up and you are 2.5 hours in, I would get kind of worried. Question 90 is halfway through the exam with 180 questions. So you should be at that 2-hour marker or right around there. If you are at question 90 and you're in an hour into the test, I would still be a little worried. Maybe I'm going too quick. Maybe I'm not reading carefully enough. You don't want to take an exam where you don't want to do an exam where you rush it, but you don't want to go an exam when you're too slow. So watch the clock on that. If you see the timer starting to run down quickly, then you need to speed it up. Try to read carefully, of course, but try to read quicker. Okay. Also had a match. I had 8 entries to match. Man, 8 entries. My God. That does sound time consuming. No wonder you almost ran out of time. Yeah, that sounds brutal. Cam says, Andrew, what is the ECO? ECO is the exam content outline. The exam content outline. Let me see if I can get a link here for you. ECO. Is this the latest one? Okay, so I'm going to give you a direct link here. So Cam is asking me, what is the ECO? There is a link to that I just sent you. The exam content outline is going to be the actual objectives that the exam is based on. So somebody says, I did not read PMBOK completely, only some parts, important chapters. But the Agile Practice Guide is mandatory. I've been telling you guys that all the time. You guys need to read the Agile Practice Guide. You know what? It's not a big book. It's like, I think it's under 200 pages, if I remember correctly. And it really covers all the Agile concepts you need to know. When I wrote the current study guide, I took things out of the Agile Practice Guide and I basically rewrote it into my study guide. So I think you guys really need to know that exam, the Agile Practice Guide. All right, really, and remember, it's free. You're getting it free from PMI, so why not? Right, just go through it. All right, you guys got a lot of questions tonight. Is that right? Do we have? Yes, you can put the project in progress. Good, so then you can just put it in progress. Would it be, if following my Udemy, would it be enough to pass? Yes, but I would still suggest go through your Agile Practice Guide. Definitely. My test is in 54 days and I have not been studying as much as I should. Well, then you know that you're not putting in the time. 54 days is a lot of time. 54 days, it depends on how much hours you have every day that you have free. 54 days. If you guys remember what I kept telling people, about 100 hours worth of studying. And 54 days, if you put 2 hours of studying every day, I think you'll be fine. So put in a good 1 to 2 hours every day, and I think you're going to be fine in 54 days. No problems with that. That's a lot of time. If you told me you had a week to do it, I would be worried. But 54 days, a lot of time. Nothing to worry about. All right. Will you have a study guide for PMI SP to schedule an exam? The answer is probably not. I'm not certified in that. And then to write another study guide, I don't know where I'm going to get the time from. I need about 50 hours in a day. That's what I need. Read the PMBOK twice, took your class, watch videos. The class videos put things in order, helped answer the questions. Very good. Let us know when you take your exam. I think we need 4 months of Agile project management in order to apply for PMI ACP. No, I think you need 1,500 hours. Is it 1,500? 1,500 hours is how many? We work about 2,000 hours a year. It's about 3/4 of a year, so I think it's more like 8 months of Agile experience you need in order to apply for PMI ACP. Do we need to memorize? No, you don't memorize the ECO, Cam. You understand it, review it, know what's there. Are there any questions using critical path? Maybe I can't. I've spoken to quite a lot of people that have taken this exam, and I can't remember anyone saying there was any real, like you had to fill out a full network diagram. I know I covered it in my class. I have a big section in the book. But It seems like the current exam may ask a few questions on critical path, but it doesn't seem like you have to draw the whole diagram. And even the EVM formulas are getting less. I did add a few students recently in the past week that I've spoken to that took our boot camp and passed the exam. And they were telling me that one of them said they had to do one calculation. Another one said he had no calculation. Are the Udemy mock exam different than the one in the book So if you sign up with the TIA and you get the PMI authorized course, you're going to get the clone questions. So those are going to be different. The book and the Udemy does have different questions. It does. Somebody asked me, Andrew, I think your Udemy Agile section is enough for the exam. It's overkill. I covered that thing in depth. Remember, it's the whole PMI ACP in there. Don't see the need for a book. Remember, the video course is bigger than the book, but the book is a good practice. Lots of questions related from the organization moving from predictive to agile. What action should they take? How can the PM tailor it to the organization and the team? I've seen that a lot. So I've seen that quite a lot. I've seen a lot of people have that where they were telling me you have to move from one to the other. But I don't think they're that difficult. I saw that it was mostly just knowing how to use Agile. Things like training the team was good choices. Or having budgets pre-made to ensure the team gets trained. Embracing Agile practices was a lot of the answers to some of the questions that I saw. What happens if we don't submit the exam and we run out of time? I think if you don't submit, you run out of time, the question you didn't answer is wrong. So that's going to work against you. See, if, God forbid, you're running out of time, just hurry up and guess the answer. That would be my best thing that I could tell you. No calculations. Okay, so it says in her exam, just one question on CPI, SPI, but knowing the definition is enough. All right, very good. Very good. All right, guys. Hopefully I've answered a lot of questions for you guys tonight. But now I'm going to ask you guys some questions. I told my wife it would be an hour tonight to hold dinner for me. So let's knock out some questions here, guys. And if you guys have any other questions, we'll answer them. So let's take a look at the practice questions that I have for you guys tonight. I have 10 questions. Tonight we have 9 regular multiple choice questions, and I have 1 drag and drop question that we're going to be doing. All right, where is my pen? Somewhere around here. All right, so I don't know where my pen is tonight. Somewhere around here, it was in my hands before I started. It's under the keyboard. I got it. Okay, so let's go take a look at practice question number 1. You know what? Let me bring back up my... Here we go. Move this over so I can see what you guys are typing. And here we go. Okay. Let's take a look at practice question number 1. All right. So this, we just got off the topic about, is there EVM on the exam? So I'm going to show you guys how we can do EVM questions without even doing calculations, right? So let's take a look at this question. And I'm going to show you how easy this question was to actually do without actually doing any computation. Okay, it says here, project has the following characteristics. Has a $3 million budget, a planned cost of $630,000, an actual cost of $650,000, has an EV or earned value of $540,000. Which of the following statements is true about this project? A, the project is ahead of schedule and under budget. The project is behind schedule and over budget. The project is ahead of schedule and over budget. And D, the project is behind schedule and under budget. Okay, somebody says, should we organize a competition? Well, we don't need a competition. Let's see what we can get right. Okay, let me know what you guys got. So you guys are going to want to make sure you do the computation. So this is a computation question. We'll take a little time to answer this one. But when it's done, I'm going to show you how easy this was without doing any particular computation. Okay, so we got some choices going on here. We have A, B, C, B, B. All right, so we got a lot of B's going on. A lot of B's going on. All right, more B's. Okay, it seems like everybody here, most people here seems to have B as the answer. All right, guys, the answer here is B. Now, in this one, if you had just known the formulas, it was easy to you didn't even have to do the computation to the actual subtraction in order to get the answer because they weren't asking for a numerical answer. So if you know the formula, CV, which is the cost variance, is equal to EV minus AC, and SV is equal to EV minus PV, if you would have just noticed that the earned value, which is what these are subtracted from, was smaller than those two, you automatically knew that those numbers were going to be negative. So if you remember from your studying cost variance, if cost variance is a negative number, it means that you're over budget. If the SV is a negative number, you're behind schedule. So without doing any computation, if you'd have looked at that and you would have said, oh man, well, if earned value is smaller than AC and PV, the project has to be behind over budget and behind schedule, making the question pretty easy. So I think on the current exam, this is probably what you're going to see a lot of now versus the older exams. They made you actually compute those numbers and say SPI was 1.4 or CPI was 0.6 or something like that. All right, let's take a look at question number 2. Very good, guys. Very good. A lot of you guys got this one. So far, you know the following about your new project. You know assumptions, restrictions, preliminary scope. After receiving this information, what should your first step be? A, assign tasks to the project team. B, prepare the schedule for the project and find the critical path. C, obtain project charter approval from the sponsor. And D, make sure you fully understand both the business case and the project goals. All right, so let's see what you guys got. What answer do you guys have? What answer do you guys have? It says the first step. Now, this was a good question. I really liked this question very well. It's going to trick all of you guys. You'll see. What do you guys have? Now, you want to make sure that you really go through that very well, right? Really understand it's assumptions, restrictions, preliminary scope. What are they asking you? Okay, a lot of you guys are we got some B's, we got some D's, we got a C. Okay, all right, so a lot of you guys did not get tricked. I thought a lot of you guys were going to get tricked with this one. And because you have the assumptions, you have the restrictions and a preliminary scope, it seems like the next thing you're going to do is to make the project charter. Okay, a lot of you guys did not get caught. Some of you guys did select C. So you can't do the project charter until you have done the business case. So if you have the preliminary scope, you have the restrictions, you have the assumptions, this is all what you're going to do, develop project charter, that particular process. So in this particular question, it really tested your knowledge. Do you know that in order to do the project charter, you would have had to done that business case? All right, very good, guys. Let us go to practice question number 3. The following features describe your project: globally distributed team, budget that is fixed, very tight deadlines. In this situation, what is the best way to avoid scope creep and maintain group focus on project goals? A, be sure any scope changes go through the formal approval process. B, schedule a daily stand-up with all development personnel. C, request that all development team leaders present detailed requirements reports. And D, prevent stakeholders from interacting directly with the key development team resources. All right. Detailed scope and require. All right. What have you guys got? What answer did you guys have on this one? Okay, somebody has A. We have an answer of B. A and B. Where's my trusty pen here today? All right. So the key thing here, guys, we want to avoid scope creep. You want to maintain the group focus on the goals of the project, which really is the scope itself. So what can we do, right? We want to maintain those tight deadlines we're having, but you do have a pretty diversified team. The best thing we can do here is to be sure that any scope changes does go through a formal. By doing this, it's going to help to avoid the scope creep. By doing that, it's going to help to tell people, you know what, if you want to add things to the project scope, by adding to the scope, you're probably going to increase the budget. And, one of the things here in this question was like, that budget is fixed. And if that budget is fixed, you just can't go adding things as needed. In order to expand that budget, you're going to have to go through that formal change process with an approved change request. All right, very good, guys. Let us go on to the next one. Question number 4. A change is necessary to achieve the required quality level due to a project delay. After issuing a formal change request and communicating that change to all stakeholders, the project manager received complaints from the stakeholders about this communications approach. How should the project manager handle the situation? A. Review the communication management and stakeholder engagement plans. B. Change project management plan to include stakeholders' expectation by submitting a change request to the Change Control Board, or CCB. Schedule a discussion with the project sponsor to fully understand stakeholders' expectations. And D. Read the communications management plan, implement it, and issue a status report. Okay, so what answer did you guys get on this one? So let's go through the question and then we'll select a good answer. So it says here a change is necessary. So they got some kind of change that is necessary. After issuing that formal change request and communicating that to the stakeholder, project manager will receive complaints from stakeholders. So this is going to be a very common type of question you're going to see on your exam, where you're going to get complaints or somebody's going to say something, somebody's going to disagree with something. What should you really do? As a good project manager, what you're going to do is you're going to review your documents. You're not going to take action. So I want to stress that, really important to you guys. Anytime you receive a complaint on your exam, anytime you're in some kind of crazy scenario where somebody's complaining or somebody's dissatisfied, do not take actions against a complaint that you have not really evaluated or looked to see what the problem is yourself. So if you look at B, let's see why B is incorrect. So B says change your project management plan. So you're changing a PM plan because you receive complaints from the stakeholders. Why don't you just, before you change something, see what's happening with the plan? Maybe you want to verify the complaint. Schedule a discussion with the sponsor. Now you're taking actions. Before you're doing that, you should review the communication plan to see if it's a valid complaint. Read the communication and implement it. No, there's a problem with it. That's why you want to review it, not just implement it. Although these sounded okay, the word implement kills it. So you want to, that you're not going to do that. You want to review things. So remember, don't take actions on any type of complaint or any type of problem. Somebody's having an issue with something. You want to review it. You want to assess things. Question number 5. Due to potential health risks, the project sponsor requests that you change the production materials. How should the project manager handle the situation? Quickly implement this critical change and submit a change request once the emergency has been averted. Okay. B, adhere to the project document change control process. C, halt all work and begin the change control process. D, refuse to make the change because it is beyond the project scope. All right, short question. What do we do? What do we do? All right, what do we do? What do we do? Okay, so you guys got a couple of things there. We got a potential keyword, health risk. They want you to change another keyword to production materials. How do you handle this? So the answer here, I got a lot of B's. I got some C's. I got a lot more B's going on here. Let's see, the answer is B. So there's a couple of things here. First of all, it seems like it's something that you have to implement. You know, this question I may have changed the answer, or the answer could have changed if it wasn't if the word potential wasn't in there. Like if it was a brand new regulation that the project had to do, maybe we would have gone with C, maybe. But you know what? It's potential health risk, which means you want to pass this through your change control process. That way you can assess this change and see what's the best way to respond to it. You want to assess things. You don't want to, first of all, halt and all work. What if it's a giant project, right? What if you're building a 50-story skyscraper and you got 400 people working there? You just can't halt the work for something that may be potential. Pass it through the change and do it quickly because it may be a health problem. All right, very good, guys. Let's take a look at question number 6. 3 necessary changes came to the attention of the team during the execution phase, and nobody can agree on how to implement the changes. How should the project manager handle the situation? Schedule a discussion with the board and the project sponsor to solve the problem. Organize a meeting with team members to review the issue and implement the changes where needed. Ensure all team members and stakeholders comprehend the change management plan and stick to it. Confirm that all required changes are applied to the project and be sure to communicate with all team members directly. All right. What answer do you guys have? What answer do you guys have? Okay, so let me give you guys some quick keywords here. It says 3 necessary changes. Where is my pen? All right, 3 necessary changes came to the attention. No one can really agree on how to implement. So nobody can agree on how to implement them. So we're not implementing this thing, but it seems like it's necessary changes. How should you handle this? Now, the answer here is, so I really like this particular one because this one is going to throw a lot of you guys off. And in fact, it did. A lot of you guys just selected B. And the answer here is C. Okay, some of you guys are now coming around to C. And the answer here, why is it this? Well, okay, so let's see why it's not A, B, or D. So A says schedule a discussion with the board and project to solve the problem. Before, there's no discussion. They already said they can't agree with it, and I'm not sure you're going to approach the board. The board is like the highest level on the sponsor. Senior management, remember for your exam. Remember this for your exam. People like the sponsor, the board, and senior management ain't going to solve any of your problems. Do not take your problems to the board or to the sponsor or the senior management ever on any question. That's never the answer. That's like a throw-out answer. That's an answer you just put an X on. It's no good. Senior management, the board, project sponsor may make decisions, but they're not going to come up with solutions for you. B, the famous one that you guys says here. B, organize a meeting with the team members to review the issues and implement the changes where needed. Implement the changes? So to review the issues and then implement the changes. It says necessary changes. Number one, these changes probably have not even been approved yet. And then just implement them just like that. They need to go through a good change process. Because look, it came to the attention of the team during the execution. Now remember, the whole process, the whole pick process, performing negative change, doing a minor controlling, it's watching that execution phase of itself. It still has to go through that process. It doesn't say it's been through that process yet. When changes become necessary, you have to get a change done. You still necessary changes or changes that has to get done still has to go through that change control process, guys. You must remember that. Ensure that all team members and stakeholders know the change management plan and stick to it. Now, why is D wrong? Confirm that all required changes are applied to the project and be sure to communicate them. So D is a no answer, no good answer. Why? Because they tell you in the question nobody can agree how to implement them. You just can't go and implement them. All right. You have to follow the change management process. Yes. All right, guys, here we got a fill in the blank question. Let's see how to do it. Easy one. I thought this one was pretty easy. A project team, should be has, not had, has decided to blank the project schedule to complete the project earlier by adding, keyword, adding additional team members. What answer did you guys get? This one was pretty easy. By adding additional team members. What answer do you guys have? Is it going to be fast track, crash, decompose, limit? The answer here is going to be, because we got some B's and we got some A's. We're rotating here. We got A, B, A, B, A, B. Legitimately, you guys are literally going A, B, A, B, A, B if you look in that chat window there. Okay, so if you guys, I thought this was pretty easy. It was really just a definition. So, quick definition. Fast tracking is when you run things in parallel, when you run multiple activities in parallel. The question doesn't say that. If you're adding additional resources, if you're adding additional team members, it's called crashing the project. This generally increases the cost on the project. Now, I see a lot of you guys got A in there. That means you got to do some studying, guys. All right, you got to review your books, review your videos, whatever that you're studying from. Make sure to do that. All right, very good. Question number 8. Here's one of those where you have to choose two. I thought this was pretty easy too. An Agile team is monitoring the status of the project schedule. What tools will they likely use? Choose two. What tools will they likely use on an Agile project? Would it be a burn-up chart, A, a network diagram for B, a Pareto chart for C, D, a burn-down chart, and E, a fishbone diagram? What chart? Which book do I recommend? My book, of course. Of course, my book. If not, you can read PMP. I can't recommend any other book but my book. Come on, you guys know that. But there are other great books. I'm telling you, there's a lot of great PMP study guides out there. Not just mine, but they're very popular ones that you guys probably heard about. I'm not going to mention. All right, so what do you guys have? Okay, it seems like everybody... all right, so everybody here seems to get this one correct. That's right. Burn up and burn down charts are very popular terms in your Agile. Make sure if you're going to take your exam, make sure that you guys know burn up and burn down charts very well for your test, because they're more than likely going to show up. They love using those words. I remember taking my PMI ACP exam many, many years ago. And my God, it was like burn up and burn down charts was like in every question, or choice, I should say. So make sure you know them well. Okay, question number 9. An Agile team is reviewing how much work they completed in the last sprint. They will use this information to decide their blank. This way they can best estimate how much work to get done in the next iteration. A, what are we going to fill in the blank with? So people asked me last week about fill in the blank. Here we go. Fill in the blank question. What are they trying to decide? Their method, their approach, their velocity, or their limits? If you do Agile, it's a very common word. If you do Agile, you know exactly what it means. When you study in Agile, it's in the book, it's in the videos. How does an Agile team determine how much work how much work they can get done in the next sprint. It's based on their velocity. It's called team velocity. So team velocity is basically the number of points worth of work that the team can get done generally within an iteration or a sprint. So remember this for your exam, and it's done by generally estimating based on previous iterations that you have done. All right. I'm out of questions for this one, but I got one quick drag and drop for you guys. One quick drag and drop. Where is that mouse? All right, so I got one drag and drop here. Let's take a look at one drag and drop that I have. Okay, decompose user requirements from the highest level, so it's a high level requirement, to the most detailed. High level requirement to the most detail. I want you guys to take a second, write these. These are going to be your choices. Write them down, put them from what's considered a high level to the most detail. This is, by the way, this is going to be in Agile. Okay, this is going to be in Agile. All right, so I want you guys write them down in your notebook. Write them down on your pen and paper. Or you can just write it in the chat box. You could do that too. Let's see what you guys have. Got to put them in order. 1 being the highest level, 4 being the most detailed. So if you study, this is going to be from your Agile studies. Okay, we got, somebody says epics, features, stories, and tasks. All right, a lot of you guys got this. This was too easy. I got to make these things harder. It's just that these drag and drops are so easy. Okay, so... Okay, a lot of you guys got this. All right, so the first thing up, the highest one here, the most high level here, is going to be, hold on, I can't grab this here. It's going to be an epic, is the most high level. Epics are then decomposed into features, and then features are decomposed into stories, and stories are decomposed into tasks. All right, I did cover these in the videos. If you're watching the videos, or if you have the my PMP study guide, we did review this. Okay, guys, those are the questions that I do have for today. Features, epics, you forgot stories. There are stories and tasks. Okay, very good. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys had some fun. We are doing pretty good. We got 80. I'm looking at the concurrent viewers. We got 80. Let's see if we can get this up to 100. If you guys know anyone studying for their PMP exam, remember, they don't have to be a student of mine. I'm trying to help everyone. You don't have to be a student of mine. You can just join the live stream in any country, anywhere around the world. You know, we can help a lot of people pass their exam. So we got 80 people. That's not so bad. Let's see if we can get it higher next week. And you guys got it. You guys had a good set of questions tonight that I did get answer. So hopefully you guys learned a lot tonight. Now, don't forget, we'll meet up again next week. Now, next week I'm going to give you guys. I have made, but I didn't put into this video because I didn't finish it. I have made some questions where you have to click and type and stuff. All right, what's called a hotspot question. So join me next week for the hotspot question. It's going to be good stuff. All right, I made a couple of them. I haven't put it out yet, though, because they got to draw the diagrams. Yeah, every week I do this for my students because here at TIA, we got so many students doing our live class. We get so many students in our Udemy. I got so many people that buys my study guide that's going through all of that stuff. So I want to make sure that I stay connected to my students. And, you know, again, you don't have to be my student. Join me from wherever you are. A lot of people are finding these things super helpful. You know, one of the things that is really useful is watching me go through the questions and then see how I eliminate the choice. And you get some tips from that. And this is the mindset that you guys have to build up over time. I've had quite a few students that have watched a few of these live streams that I've done and said, hey, Andrew, that was the difference between passing and failing. Yes, we do the live stream every week, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time every week. Are these questions the same in your Udemy? No, these are different. These are questions that we make up. These are more additional questions. So you got to join it here. All right, so you guys join me here. All right, I will be adding another video to the YouTube channel this week that I think it's a really important topic. You guys can check that out. I think it comes on Thursday. I did the video today. They're going to edit it. They're going to push it out Thursday morning. It's a pretty cool video on some interesting PMP stuff. You guys check that out. Very helpful. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. So, guys, we are done here for the night. Thank you, guys, for attending. I'm going to see you guys next week, same time, at 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, 7 Eastern time. Thank you, guys.